Thank you for joining us. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and I'm Michael Miller. Our guest today is Michael Gongora, who is a candidate for Miami Beach. Thank you. You want to be mayor of Miami Beach. Number one, people want to know why you.
Well, I love Miami Beach. I'm a native of our county. I've lived here for a very long time, my whole life, and I moved to the beach in 1992 and fell in love with our city and got super active in our community. I had the pleasure of being elected 3 times as commissioner. I'm the only candidate running for mayor who completed 3 elected terms. I served on every committee. And I did it because I love it. I want to give back to our community. I want to make our community safer. And people need a leader with experience. Michael, right now, the mayor is leaving and 3 senior commissioners are leaving. There's a big void in leadership on the commission. And I think that's why people really want me there.
Wait, 3 commissioners and the mayor?
Yeah, 4 of 7.
That's massive. So this new group of people that are going, they need experience to be able to help move the city in the direction. I was listening to some news reports the other day, and then the number one thing with the perception about Miami Beach is that it became dangerous.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true. That's one of the reasons I decided to run for office. Public safety is a huge issue. It's been my number one priority throughout the campaign. Shortly after I filed, the Miami Beach Police endorsed me for mayor, and I've been working with them very closely on a better and more proactive policing plan, putting police on the streets, using technology like video cameras and a real-time crime center that can help the police make our city safer. A staunch advocate of public safety, so I'm ready to get to work. We got spring break coming up, not too far away, and I want to make sure we change those bad images we've gotten too used to seeing.
And I think that's important because years ago, South Beach, maybe it was 20 years ago, was the bikini models, Ocean Drive magazine. It was like, it attracted a certain crowd where people were coming there. So now it's got the reputation of sort of a party city. I know it's changing. But people want to feel safe, whether it's Miami Beach or Coral Gables or Doral or South Miami. Part of the question is, how do you change the culture that allows people to think that that's okay? That's a big question and lots of answers. So what are some of the things you could do besides just police enforcement?
Well, we've got to change the narrative. We've got to change the reputation from a party place to a city of arts and culture. I love Miami Beach, but it's not got quite the same cachet with other residents in South Florida that we used to have, where people really wanted to come for dinner or to see a show or shop. So we're going to bring it back. The current administration planted some really good seeds for us to water and nourish and grow to really make that happen. We have a lot of money, over $150 million in GEO bond money that our voters approved to upgrade our cultural facilities. We're building a new project at Collins Park, a wonderful new theater project that's going to have a workforce housing component above it. I voted for that when I was on the commission. And I'm looking forward as mayor to really being part of that rebranding and that conversation about making Miami Beach special again, the city that everybody wanted to be at, and we will.
When I was a kid, I used to go to Wolfie's, and it was just like great. And then certainly there's that good feeling when you go over there and you see some of those older places. And we know the city, where one of the big hotels was, they want in the city, they want to put up some other housing there, and people sort of like complaining about it. It's sort of discriminatory for people that are not as wealthy as the other people. But the reality of South Florida, people are flooding to Miami, and we have a housing issue about where we're going to put people. But people, when they come here, they work. And I think that's important. So tell us what the city can do to help create jobs in the city.
Yeah, well, housing affordability and creating jobs is important. As commissioner, I always supported economic development, helping small businesses open. I think one of the biggest things that the city can do is we can make the permitting process easier, and we can help people get their BTRs, their business tax receipts. I've heard too many complaints about how onerous and expensive it is. As mayor, I want to put a concierge desk in my office to help assist residents and small business owners with the process. And then once they get open, it's hard to find workers. It's it's expensive to live in Miami Beach. That's why I was so excited with the Collins Park workforce housing project. And we need to look for other opportunities like that where the city can help diversify our housing and make it a city where everybody can afford to live and work in.
And you talk about concierge service, how important that is in today's environment. There could actually be somebody to talk to rather than the machines. There's the old saying, people would laugh at the Walmart greeters. No, they were the director. Oh, that's in that aisle. You go over there, and that's also important. I was at Jackson Hospital, or the University of Miami Hospital, and when you walk in the door, there are like 5 desks, and they have somebody standing there. How can I help you today? Yeah. That's the correct line. This is the correct line, wherever it is. And that's important so people don't get frustrated, especially the businesses that are like freaking out. They've never had to do this before. What long line that I'm going to get into that I can't be helped should I get in? So my congratulations on doing that and make it easier for people to do business. So the primary happened to be last night, and it was pretty close. And when is the runoff?
Okay, the runoff election is Tuesday, November 21st, which is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So it's a bad day. A lot of people like to travel. There will be 3 days of early voting, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before, November 17th, 18th, and 19th, as we always do at Miami Beach City Hall and the North Shore Library. Also, absentee ballots, I understand, are being mailed Monday. So starting Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, people that requested absentee ballots before will get them again. And if you have any thoughts about traveling, please just return the ballot.
And for younger people, they couldn't imagine that years ago it was one day on the first Tuesday of November, if I have it right, and I think they had absentee ballots, but a very small percentage. So we know that ahead of time that the last day to vote is November 21st.
Yes.
That's the very last day, but you got a whole bunch of days you can go in, and the absentee ballot is important that when people make their decisions, if it's by absentee ballot, fill it out and mail it. Don't wait until the last day to mail it. And don't wait till the last day to go in to vote, because you never know what might happen on that day. A lot of rain where you say, I'm not going to go, because we know that every vote does count. And years ago, I had an absentee ballot. It was on my desk. Paperwork went on top, went on top, went on top. And all of a sudden, I go, oh, I don't know where it is. That year, I didn't vote because they didn't do it right away. And I think it's important for people to do that. So you were a commissioner for 3 times. Was there a space in between one of those times?
Actually, between both of them. I'm kind of a non-traditional public servant. All 3 of the times I served were not consecutive. So it's been interesting. I had the opportunity to serve with 3 different mayors, with, I believe, like 4 different city managers, over 20 commissioners. So I really had the opportunity to see what works and what doesn't, what's good and what's not. And I'm really excited to bring my knowledge and experience and try to bring the best of the best to the dais as mayor and really have a good working relationship. We have 3 brand new commissioners just elected. One just elected 1 year ago, another just elected 2 years ago, and then 1 senior member. But we've got a fresh group, and I'm excited to get to work with them.
When did you know you wanted to represent people in elected office? How old are you? And do you remember that moment where that occurred?
I don't know if there was a specific moment. It was more of something that grew within me. I actually was president of the Miami Beach Latin Chamber of Commerce many years ago, and I was recruited to run against somebody for commissioner, which I didn't do. I ended up supporting them instead. But as a result of that, they started appointing me to various boards and committees. So I served on the city's zoning board of adjustment, our design review board over projects. They asked me to be one of the special magistrates over code compliance. So before I ran the first time, it was kind of a buildup in my getting to know the city and how it works and my interest, and realizing that I had a real ability to make a difference in the future of Miami Beach.
What's the overall budget, including parking? How much revenue goes into the city of Miami Beach?
It's huge. This year, their budget is over $900 million. By next year, you could be looking at $1 billion budget. This is in a city with less than 100,000 residents. a tiny island community, but a very wealthy community. And especially since the pandemic, we all know it. No matter where you live in South Florida, if you live in a single family home, congratulations. I'm glad you bought it before prices exploded. But we haven't raised taxes in Miami Beach in many years, and that the millage rate has been flat. But the property values have gone up, and properties have been transferred to new people. So you've seen a real increase in the amount of real property taxes coming in.
So speaking of lucky to have a home on Miami Beach, let's talk about king tide. Is that a term that you're familiar with?
Oh,
and,
yes.
And what does it mean to people on Miami Beach and to the rest of South Florida?
It's difficult. We're in a king tide period right now. I know because I live in a condominium building on Collins Avenue, and our garage is underground, so we get flooded during king tide. We put in a pump, but sometimes it seems to work right and sometimes it doesn't. As commissioner, I championed the city's stormwater master plan, which passed in 2013, and at the time was really reported about in Rolling Stone and national publications as novel and interesting. But that project got implemented somewhat incorrectly and then somewhat stalled. So one of the things I'm looking forward to doing as mayor is getting the stormwater master plan going. The basics of it are putting pumps underground that can store water during a king tide or heavy rain until the water can be properly cleaned and treated and pumped back out into the bay. So we have a lot of neighborhoods that want this project to go forward, and I'm looking forward to moving it forward as mayor.
Are there septic tanks on Miami Beach?
Are there septic tanks? You know, not to my knowledge. If embarrassed to say, if there are, not that I'm aware of. I know there are in Coral Gables, where I grew up, and that's one of the big issues.
Well, there are 120,000-ish septic tanks, and I'd never inquired before from the county that they're on Miami Beach, but there's 9,000 homes, more or less. They're in critical areas that the county and the state, and I think the feds are participating to get those homes that really need it. Without significant changes on how we build on Miami Beach, what are we going to do about this continual rise of water, other than king tide, as we call it today? Because what will it look like in 5 years and 10 years if we don't do something more?
Well, we will do something more. I'm very optimistic about the use of pumps and the stormwater master plan. We also need to look into what some of our neighboring communities do with injection wells that are out in the water, but we will keep Miami Beach dry. I just told you we're $1 billion a year budgeted city. So we have a lot of real estate property to protect. One of the things I want to do with that money in the budget is really focus on infrastructure improvements. I can tell you that when I looked at the budget, I was a little disappointed when I saw how little money is being allocated to capital projects and infrastructure improvements. That's something that I would change as mayor, because I want to fortify our city and protect us for the future.
What's going on with the Miami Beach Convention Center?
Well, the convention center is up and running. There were a number of lawsuits and last-minute work, but the piece that's missing is the convention center hotel. Our voters approved it. We awarded it. They broke ground, but I haven't seen construction happening there. I believe our residents, we approved it, so we want it built. We need a hotel attached to the convention center to be able to draw in high-quality conventions. We want to build on our successful ones like Art Basel that everybody loves. We want that money to come in because that allows us to not raise taxes. We have this extra source of revenue coming from another source that adds to our budget. And it's good for our economy. It brings people, besides staying in the hotel, they eat in the restaurants, they shop in our stores. So Miami Beach has always been a bit of a tourism-driven city, and we need that convention center hotel built. So I look forward to working on that as well as mayor.
So, Michael, does the city have a outreach program to get more conventions and more events? Tell us about that.
We do not. We actually contribute significantly to the Greater Miami Visitor and Convention Bureau, millions of dollars a year to market Miami Beach as a source to come in our city. This issue always seems to come up every time there's a new administration. There's people that want the city to do its own efforts. There's those that like having a partner such as the Bureau. I've had a good relationship with them over many years. I haven't been on the commission the last 2 years, so I'm not sure what the current status of the contract is, but I look forward to sitting down with the Bureau and making sure that Miami Beach is getting the attention it deserves, and we're doing the ultimate and best job we can to market that convention center and our city in general.
So it's sort of an uncomfortable question. People always complain, there's no place to park, and if I find it, it's really expensive.
You know, I don't find that, but I do hear that a lot too. Our city lots are $4 an hour. I think I paid more than that, or at least that amount, when I go to dinner in Wynwood. So we're really on par with what the market is.
Yes.
The part is that there's a lot of private lots, and people aren't sure which is which. So I encourage you, before you come to Miami Beach to dinner, take a minute and look at the city app or the city website and see where the city garages are. There's a lot of them, and they're rarely at capacity. So there is places where you can park for $4 an hour. Please use them.
I occasionally go to Miami Beach. I no longer take my truck. I'm going in a much smaller car so I can maneuver around. And some of the hotels charge a pretty hefty price to do that. And people, if they don't care about money, that's fine, but they need to factor that whole process and where you're going to park, how you're going to get there. You want to do valet, and it takes a little bit more planning. We were there the other night, and you see people walking around, right, just enjoying themselves, all right? Take that and as compared to, for instance, Coral Gables, where it's much more serious. Mm-hmm. So how can we return to Miami Beach some good old days where people are happy and they're walking around their flip-flops and say, they're tourists, we are glad you are here, spend all your money, tell your friends to come here, and come back again. So what is it the city itself can do? I know you have a public relation, the city has its own PR staff.
Yes.
And I get their press releases all the time. Is there something that you can do, particularly in those press releases, to encourage people that are here, meaning not in Miami Beach, that say, come on over to the beach instead of spending the weekend over there in South Miami or Coral Gables, and spend some time over there?
I think that's a good point, Michael, because the city does have a marketing department, but it seems to me that most of the marketing is done to our residents. It's done to promote activities in the city to people that already live there. And then we kind of rely on the Bureau to market us to other places, but that is an area that's missing. How do we market to other South Florida residents who might just want to come spend the day, have dinner, bring the kids? What's happening? So I do want to get that message out a little bit more, because Miami Beach is a great place. If you haven't been there for a while, the beach is still gorgeous. We have wonderful restaurants and new restaurants to check out. Tons of activities. There's always concerts and art events and shows. So do check it out. I want you all to come back and enjoy Miami Beach. I want to represent the residents of Miami Beach, but I want our city to be a fun and exciting place for all.
We went to a restaurant over there, and when you walk in, you realize that I think they cut off the Wi-Fi. And at the dinner table, they have like a don't use your phone. You can't get it. It was like, this is wonderful. We actually had a conversation for like 45 minutes without this. So, and we are acutely aware that as consumers of phones, that sometimes you just need to get a break, and what a great place to go to have a break. Besides that, you can sit by the pool for a little while if you want to do that. And speaking of the water and the beach, what is the city doing to maintain the sea line that's there from the apartments or the condos, the hotels, out to the ocean, and keeping that clean? Tell us that process.
Well, I live on Collins Avenue across the street from the beach. We rely a lot, it's a joint effort between the city, the county, and the Army Corps of Engineers, the federal government. But we're always doing beach renourishment, maintaining our sand. It's also a natural buffer against flooding to the condominium buildings nearby. We're also focused on issues that are critical during summer months, like sargassum, the seaweed invasion we've been getting for the past several years, to make sure the county is out there to clean it and keep our beach safe. But, the beach is part of our name, and it is for sure the number one draw of our city. So we're always having to make sure that we keep it wonderful. One of the projects I worked on for many, many years as commissioner, and one of the ones I'm actually most proud of, is the beach walk. If you haven't been out there, we now have a promenade that goes the entire length of the city, from 1st to 88th Street. You can do a complete beach walk. They have this beautiful views along the sand and the breeze. It's a great place to get some exercise or just enjoy the day. So that is something that we've done, an amenity for our residents, but an amenity for everybody that visits.
So we got a couple of minutes left. Would you tell our audience why they should vote for you?
People need to vote for me because I'm the only candidate with real experience. I served 3 times on the commission. I've served on every committee, something my opponent cannot say. And I've been endorsed by all 3 of the remaining commissioners. And that's important because we don't have a strong mayor like the county does. Our mayor sits on the commission, and if you don't have 3 or 4 other votes on items, you can't move your platform forward. The fact that all 3 of the remaining commissioners have stood up and said, I'm our best choice, will allow me to move forward with my public safety platform and my arts and culture platform and my resident quality of life platform. I've been there the longest. I've proven myself. If you were hiring for a mayor, if you were looking at a resume, certainly you would want the most qualified candidate. So I hope the voters will put me in office, and let's move forward and make Miami Beach better and safer.
Wow, Michael Gongora, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you,
Good luck to
Michael.
you. November 22nd is the 21st is the last day.
Yes.
All right, so vote early, folks. Again, thank you for joining us and have a great day. See you.